Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Carlos McConney.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. We have a really nice show for you today, so stay with us, or you might miss this. Winter sports. Roving reporter Micah Kruger heads for the slopes. Artificial intelligence. Robots create human portraits in a new exhibition. City lights. The Russian capital Moscow shines out in winter. We start off today's show with a little fun in the snow. Our Euromaxx colleague Micah Kruger headed over to the Bavarian Alps. What awaited her there were different kinds of downhill equipment. Now, I know Micah is always up for an adventure, but this seems kind of dangerous, especially for a beginner. Time to head downhill and go full speed ahead on all kinds of fun sports equipment.
The slopes belong to the skiers and the snowboarders. Normally, that is, because right now even beginners like me are following the call of the mountains.
To be honest, I'm not very good in skiing and I will never learn how to snowboard, but there's another way to be cool in the snow.
At the snow park in Oberstdorf in Germany's Allgäu region, for example. Here you can try out all the fun sports equipment for 20 euros a day. Fortunately, there's always a guide around to give you some help.
Well, it's no more risky than skiing. It's easy to learn. You need a short introduction and then one or two goes on the slopes to get used to it.
Time to find out which equipment is suitable for me. We start with a SMX. It's a bit like a BMX bike, but instead of the tires, it has short skis. And the great thing is, you can take it on the ski lift. But what goes up must come down. What if I can't stop?
Well, you can brake with your feet. You won't go too fast. Dig your feet into the snow and pace yourself. But it's a lot easier, and it's more fun if you start to do slalom.
Okay, let's try out. This piece of equipment is also allowed on many slopes. You take the curves with your body weight rather than actually steering. Pros can reach speeds of up to 160 kilometers an hour. I'll settle for a lot less, but all the same, I'm moving.
This is a little challenge for me. I have to practice a little bit more.
Now I need a safety helmet. Airboarding can be risky, so it isn't permitted on every slope.
You just lie down, and you steer with your body to the right and left. And if you turn it to the side, it'll brake. It's kind of complicated.
But piloting is really easy. It's a fast ride down with speeds of up to 100 kilometers an hour. But you do need steady nerves for this. For me, this simple slope looks like a pretty steep challenge. To be on the safe side, I don't just brake with my feet, but with my whole body. I did it.
Being so close with your face over the snow, it's a little bit scary.
Next up, the Ski Fox, developed in Germany as a comfortable alternative to skiing. It is easy on the knees.
Okay, Thomas, jetzt haben wir hier.
So, what is this? A stool?
No, that's the Ski Fox.
Okay.
It just looks like a stool. If you want to take a curve, you can steer it with the skis. Take the handles like this, and you plunge them into the snow.
Gut.
It's not easy to ride.
I'm already losing my balance.
Yes, because your center of gravity is so high. You have to learn how to balance.
Thomas descends elegantly downhill. 99% of beginners get the hang of it right away. Me too, but slowly. Probably because I keep braking with my feet. I'm afraid to take them off the ground in case I topple over. It seems the Ski Fox and I aren't made for each other.
Oh, going down the hill on a stool is quite shaky.
This ski bockel is the lightest of the fun sport selection today. It weighs just 3 kilos and it costs 150 euros, making it also the cheapest.
You steer it with your body weight. You lean in the direction you want to take, and to keep from tipping over, you glide your hand over the snow.
I'd rather use again a safety helmet. The dampers come in handy, but it's easy to ride. And because I'm close to the ground, I'm not afraid I'll fall off. I have really enjoyed trying out all the different kinds of equipment. But which is my favorite?
So at the end of the day, my favorite toy for the snow is this one. And what is yours?
I agree with you. This one, this ski bockel, is my favorite.
But if you don't want to pay the 20 euros to hire the equipment, you can also have fun on the slopes on an old-fashioned sled. After an enjoyable day in the mountains, I feel elated but pretty tired too.
How about we move on to one of 2017's European capitals of culture? The city of Paphos is located on the southwest coast of Cyprus, and it is actually the smallest European cultural capital named to date. A small city means a smaller budget for all the cultural events to be celebrated, but that just adds an element of challenge and necessary creativity to make the location a successful capital of culture.
Paphos is awakening. More than 2,300 years old, the city on the southwest coast of Cyprus is a European capital of culture this year. It's a big event for the place and its 30,000 residents. People feel good things are in the offing, even though not everything is ready. The official ceremony is scheduled for Saturday on the square by City Hall. Open-air cultural events are a tradition here, and there will be lots of them throughout the year. Liz Pugh from Britain has been staging events like these for years.
We came here, and behind me is the town hall, over there's the school, over there's the library and the coffee house, and it felt like a place of civic importance, and it's also being remodelled. Even as we speak, men are pushing wheelbarrows around, so it felt like the right place to do the show.
The emphasis isn't on stars and spectacles, but on dancers, musicians, and young people from Paphos and all over Cyprus, even the Turkish-occupied northern part of the island. The other European capital of culture, Aarhus, Denmark, is sending a jazz orchestra. This will be a show by citizens for Paphos and all of Europe.
We're working on a relatively small budget, but sometimes you can be you have to be more imaginative when you have less resources. So I hope that what you see is something that really speaks from the heart of Paphos.
Paphos is proud of its cultural legacy. Mosaics in old Greek and Roman villas are traces of ancient splendor. A medieval castle in the harbor testifies to the 300-year rule of the Ottoman Turks. This beach near Paphos is where Aphrodite is supposed to have risen from the sea. The rock named after her is a big tourist attraction. Despite the tourist trade, the upper city of Paphos, where the locals live, was close to bankruptcy. But they aren't taking this lying down.
The people from Paphos take care of their country and their families.
Everything has changed for good. And of course, we're expecting more people to visit our place and learn about our culture and history here.
Hopefully it will bring the town back to life, because Paphos has been forgotten, I think.
Filling the city with life on a small budget is Georgia Dutza's task. She's responsible for the cultural program. Instead of expensive new museum buildings and elite cultural events, she's counting on the idea of the open-air workshop.
Openness is what we want to bring back to the city. We want the residents of Paphos to experience that as a particular characteristic of their lives. That they are more open to each other, and that all the groups that live here in Paphos become more open to the other groups, and that they all come together. Because openness makes it possible. That's what makes our program special.
The idea is to offer the experience of art in studios, courtyards, and buildings. Part of the opening exhibition will be on view in this empty apartment house. One of the themes taken up by international artists from the West and the Middle East is the current refugee problem. A few hundred meters away is an old electric power plant. Elena Parba curated the show here. For her, art is crucial to any approach to current topics.
I think art, which with all its peculiarities, it still remains a sphere where one can think freely and push boundaries.
Art is omnipresent in the city, and it aims to inspire people and bring them together, young and old, local and foreign. In the harbor and on the coast, a series of installations are being set up entitled Signs in Time and Space. These artworks will remain after the celebrations are over. One of the high points of this cultural year will take place on May 1st. The Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra will play in front of the castle at the harbor.
What we and all capitals of culture do is show that we are all part of one world and one Europe. Our program seeks to strengthen this Europe of culture with its values. Every city is different, but we all want the same with our program, for Europe to come together again.
Paphos 2017, the smallest European culture capital, wants to bring people together by echoing on a small scale the grand cultural achievement of Europe.
Well, pretty soon, robots will probably take over our menial daily tasks, leaving us with enough time to spare for leisure activities. Artificial intelligence is on its way as automation replaces human labor. AI is even making its way into the art world. Let's take a look at an art exhibition where robots actually sketch people.
These portraits were sketched in art class. Not by humans, though, by robots. The artistic machines form part of an installation titled 5 Robots Named Paul in Berlin's Dixit Algorithmie Gallery. Each robot has a camera eye and an arm for sketching. The robots are controlled by a laptop brain underneath the table. The robots have different artistic styles. One prefers a more realistic approach, while another opts for a bleaker, abstract look. An average portrait session takes about 30 minutes. But just like in any regular art class, some will be done quicker, while others toil away with perfectionist zeal. So the model just has to be patient.
It was funny to watch these machines go about their business, sketching and glancing at me. They'd focus on the paper, then gaze at me. I didn't expect that. It was weird, but also an interesting experience.
The robots were developed here at the University of London's Goldsmiths College. They were invented by Patrick Tresset. He's always been fascinated by both art and technology. He studied IT and then began to pursue his passion for art. Treatment for a mental illness later robbed him of his passion for making art with his own hands. So instead, he's created robots to do so, though he doesn't consider them artists in their own right.
computing now is used for everything. So why not the arts? I mean, now, of course, there is this kind of specialty, but a lot of artists use computers in one way or another to do their work. It's just a tool.
Patrick Tressé sees himself as the real artist pulling the strings, even though he doesn't do any sketching himself. The robots are part of his artistic identity.
It's complicated because for me they are machines, I write the programs, but then they've made my career, and they are also kind of self-portraits. So it's a complex relationship between me and the robots. But also for me they are puppets. They do most of the time what I want them to do.
Back in Berlin, these creative machines are on display for the first time ever in a gallery. And so are various portraits of Tressé in 5 different styles, and he's recognizable in most. These robots cannot, however, sketch just any subject.
I
tried to have them sketch my dog. I placed him on the chair, but the robot did nothing. That's probably because their facial recognition system didn't detect a human being, and so they simply refused to get to work.
But the robot portraits of humans are quite impressive. Machines are becoming increasingly independent. They've already made humans redundant in many areas.
In future, can robots replace human drivers or human chess players? Things are developing rapidly, but I'm sure artists have nothing to worry about.
Anyone who'd like to have these robots do their portrait is welcome to visit the Dixit Algorithmi Gallery in Berlin. The unusual experience is free, though opting to take one of the portraits home will set you back €100.
Many Europeans head to the tropics during the winter, but cold weather is not stopping travelers from visiting Moscow, the capital of Russia. With the destination's growing popularity, the colder months of the year provide a unique opportunity to avoid the crowds and get to know Russia's largest city in another light.
When things get really cold and dark in Russia, Moscow shines brighter than ever. Until the end of February, the Russian capital will be bathed in a sea of lights. Long after the Christmas decorations have been taken down in most European cities, Moscow's winter celebrations continue. Scores of lights illuminate the city. People can even visit a light installation that's a replica of the Kremlin. 10 a.m. at the real Kremlin. It's only just gotten light in the last hour. Now the snowfall from the previous night is being cleared away before the first groups of tourists show up. And winter is a good time to visit Moscow. Lines are short and there's no crush of tourists in front of popular attractions. From the Kremlin's Cathedral Square, you can see the lights of GUM, Moscow's world-famous department store. Located on Red Square, it's illuminated by some 40,000 lights, which will shine night and day until March.
This lighting underscores the distinctiveness of the architecture. In the evening, when everything's lit up, this lovely building looks like something out of a fairy tale. And naturally, that creates a festive atmosphere.
Moscow's biggest river, the Moskva, winds its way through the city. In winter, icebreakers have to plow through the ice. In early January, the thermometer plunged to minus 28 degrees Celsius here. On this day, it's just minus 6. From the water, you get another perspective on wintry Moscow.
Moscow's nice in winter because of all the decorations. Everything's bright and nicely lit. It makes you want to go for walks.
At around 4 in the afternoon, darkness falls, and millions of lights go on. Gorky Park is also brightly lit. Every day, up to 15,000 people flock here to go ice skating. The rink in Gorky Park is one of the biggest and most beautiful in the world. Here, even the surface of the ice is illuminated.
It's fun here, and you can go skating. We really wanted to come here tonight for some fresh air and exercise. It's great.
To warm up afterwards, many head to the Grand Café Dr. Zhivago, just 200 meters from Red Square. The cafe's mix of modernity and nostalgia is popular with both Muscovites and visitors, so it's wise to make a reservation. Modern interpretations of Russian specialities are on the menu. Tasty fish dishes can be had for around 15 euros. But order a glass of French wine to go with it, and you'll pay that much again. The city has strung up more than 80 kilometers of fairy lights alone. No one's saying what it cost, but the light show brightens the mood of locals and tourists alike. People stroll around the streets despite the cold.
The lighting's very nice and the streets are well decorated. Colorful, fun, wonderful, fantastic.
Russians aren't known for their understated style. Luckily enough, electricity is quite cheap in Russia. So in Moscow, they let it snow and glow all winter long.
For our final report, we move along to one of London's trendiest districts. Even though many allege that Spitalfields was once Jack the Ripper's playground, it is now one of the capital's top residential addresses. This thanks in part to people who have been renovating these period houses over there.
Princelet Street is located in London's trendy Spitalfields district. The first people who lived here back in the 18th century were Huguenots who had fled to England from France. They lived and worked here as weavers and spinners. British architect Chris Dyson bought a house on Princelet Street in 2007 and renovated it with great attention to detail.
Hello, my name is Chris Dyson. Welcome to my house.
These days, it's hard to imagine that up until the 19th century, these houses were pretty run down and neglected. Now, many of the Georgian houses are listed buildings, including Chris Dyson's property, the former home of a Huguenot clergyman.
It was unusual in that respect. It didn't have a weaver's loft at the top of the house. Many of these houses do have weaver's lofts, and they were there for the young weavers, two of them, to weave all the daylight hours that were possible, and that's why they were at the top of the house.
The restoration project, with its attention to original detail, has won prizes. Renovating the three-story building with its 400 square meters of work and living space set Dyson back around 600,000 euros. He now lives here with his wife and children. The house was built sometime between 1724 and 1743.
Before these houses were built, there were fields here, and this was literally hospital fields. Thence it came Spitalfields. So it was green land outside the city wall.
Dyson wanted to create the perfect combination of old and new. He is especially proud of the top floor.
So this room we added in 2007. It was a flat roof. This, as I said earlier, this was the French minister's house, so he didn't need to work up here. Many of these rooms were actually normally weaver's lofts, and so we created this room in the manner of a weaver's loft, but actually it's our kitchen, and it's one of the best rooms in the house in terms of daylight and aspect, and a place to hang out as a family.
Chris Dyson loves living on Princelet Street. This is his second renovation project here. The small terrace off the kitchen affords a great view of London and how it's developing.
This is a very special view. The rooftops of Spitalfields frame the city. So this is, 1720, and we're looking out on 20th century city of London with the tower, the Gherkin, and other towers which are always sprouting up as like plants in the horizon.
Chris Dyson's house on Princelet Street isn't growing skywards, but it does bear testimony to one unique period of history in the British capital.
That's it for today. Remember that Euromaxx is available to stream from our website. And don't forget to join our official accounts on social media. Thank you so much for tuning into our show. We will be working on new episodes just for you, so hopefully you'll join us again. See you soon, everyone.